So a few weeks ago, I noticed that my charge intercooler system was needing to be refilled with coolant maybe every 2 months or so. And that's a sealed system. That shouldn't happen. You know, if you refill it more than once, you got to start asking yourself some questions. And I saw on one of the forums, the charge air intercooler, this guy, can sometimes leak. We all know what happens when you leak coolant into an engine. It's not good. It's not good. I have confirmed with a scope. There is a bunch of white stuff, which I think can be interpreted to be dried coolant in the J-pipe host radiator in the intercooler. So it's safe to say there's no coolant pooling underneath my car. I think it's safe to say that it is the intercooler. So we are going to start the process for replacing that. There is a sensor here. There are 2 hoses here, and then both charge pipes. We'll remove those. So you'll need either a flathead screwdriver or a 6mm hex socket to get started on the charge pipes. Use a pick. Undo these hoses. Stick some towels under here in case all the coolant did not drain. You don't want coolant everywhere. And on each side of the car, there are 2 smaller belly pans here that cover the top portion of the frontmost portion. There's 4 screws holding those in. There's 2 that are 8mm back here, and then there's 2 way off to the side here that are 10mm. And we're gonna get those now. And you're going to need to mark the configuration right here. So the bolt that's furthest up front looks like this, 10mm. There's no place to put in a flathead screwdriver. And then the bolt that's a little bit further back, you can put a flathead in it. Definitely something to remember. All right, and there are a total of 6 screws with these fender washers holding front plate in, and we're taking those out now. Oh, 6 lied, there's 7. And then you pull out the panel. This, you gotta push forward and then out. Or push into the car, and then you can pull it out. There. You get a sense of how much road grime has accumulated inside of your car. Use a pick. Okay. All right, that is hose number 1. And then to pull this guy off here, I think we're gonna disconnect right here. All right, next there's an airflow sensor right here, host intercooler. To access this without removing a bunch of structural components, you're gonna need to get either a right angle drill or a right angle screwdriver like this. Mine doesn't lock into place, so I've used a piece of tape just to keep the Torx bit from moving or falling. Undo this. Okay, that's 1. This comes out, we're gonna set it on a towel and be really gentle. Okay, to remove the clamp from the J-pipe, connecting the intercooler to the J-pipe, I'm using a impact gun, an extension, a 3/8 inch adapter to a little universal joint here, and then going from 3/8 to 1/4 inch, and then my 1/4 inch bit turns into a 6mm socket. This is an engine oil filter that had coolant leaking into the engine. Normally when I pull these out, they are darker. Now, this is a new filter. It's only been in here 900 miles or so, but it kind of has this, I don't know, milky-ish tint to it. Again, I think I caught this in time. I only refilled my intercooler once and it drained into the engine over the course of 2 months, and then I stopped. So this is the result of that. It looks a little milky. Definitely not what you want. All right, so I think the key to removing this intercooler is, one of the things you have to do is remove the large coolant tank here. I would go about it by removing the 10mm bolt that connects to the strut mount right here, and you can just wiggle this back. It's still connected by 2 flexible hoses, just a little bit out of the way so that you can hit this second ring connecting the intercooler to the J-pipe. You take an impact driver with U-joint on it. You can get a 6mm underneath. I don't know why whoever put this in. Yeah, this band right here, they have the adjustment part way underneath. You can barely see it. here's what it looks like. Man, no easy feat getting this out. Okay. Oh man, and I'm not happy to see this. Man, I caught it in time, but man, you are just not happy when you see this. Look at this. Coolant in that J-pipe. Darn. Oh, not worse than what I was expecting, given that the tank had emptied and I didn't see any leaking under the car. But man, you hate to see that. All right, next on the J-pipe right here, it's a little airflow sensor. You squeeze top and bottom and gently pull out. All right, next thing you'll need to grab is this little clip that's on the far side of the J-pipe. So right here, clips in here, there's another clip below. It actually attaches to the side of the pipe from what I can tell from this angle. Just use a little pick tool and you can get this one off. Okay, in order to remove the J-pipe, there is this plastic band that is threaded through the outer band connecting this to the J-pipe to the intake manifold. As soon as you pull this off, this J-pipe, it just falls right off. I was wondering what was keeping it on. It was this little clamp, and you had to pull it all the way out to get it off. And as you can see, this is filled with coolant. This is ugly. Look at this. Get a focus on this. Not what you want to see. You can see that intake is dirty and probably not functioning the way that it's supposed to. Look at that coolant on there. Oh. Okay, given the condition of the throttle body here, we're gonna take this moment when we have everything apart already and remove it and spray it with some cleaner. So it's predictably a 10 millimeter. Okay, next we need to release a hose and I believe an electrical connector. Okay, we struggled with that electrical connector for a minute. Finally got that off. And there is our throttle body. Not great. We're gonna clean that up, clean up the gasket, and reinstall. Okay, I just scoped the inside of the engine manifold, and it's not that bad, and I think we'll be in much better shape than we were previously. This is what a clean throttle body should look like. Got all the gunk off there. There was a lot of coolant on there, but there was also some dirt and other deposits that were probably interfering with the function of this. All the surface is clean, and this hose right here. I mean, it was partially blocked, so it's clogged. It's not going to function correctly. Also spray some contact cleaner here. All right, so we have the best chances for success. We're going to install the gasket and then torque this down. All right, first, in the installation of the throttle body actuator, the position that it sits in is like this, not this. The hose connection point points down. First, we're going to connect the electrical connector and then the hose clamp, and then we'll start bolting this on. Okay, we're pushing the throttle body into the hose clamp here. Okay, there is a guide pin on the side here that you'll need to hit when installing the actuator. Alright, 2 more screws on the bottom, and then we'll torque it down to spec. Alright, once you have the throttle body tightened pretty much, hand tight, then you're going to go 7 Newton meters, go in star pattern. Alright, hit it. Now we're doing the bottom one furthest away. Alright, we hit it on the bottom. Hit it, okay. All right, step 1, in installing a new J-pipe in your S55 engine, so you need to recover the old gasket, clean it up, and you can reuse it. Mine's in pretty good shape after 65,000 miles. It just has coolant on it, so I'm gonna clean it and we'll install it in the new J-pipe. All right, so this VRSF cold side charge pipe has 2 ports on it, here and here, for water and meth injection. We're not gonna do that today. That might be a future project, I don't know. But just to make sure that these plugs don't shake loose over time and no air can escape, we're gonna wrap those threads with some gas tape, similar to Teflon tape. Teflon, I'm sure, will work just fine here. And remove the excess. No chance that's coming loose. Okay. Alright, and there you have it. I don't know if you can see, but you cannot see the tape from the inside. I didn't want that heating up and flaking away, potentially into the engine. Okay, with some finagling and a little bit of elbow grease, I was able to pop on the J-pipe. Next, we're ready to put on this clip. It fits over the outside. I would make sure the pins are facing this direction. Alright, J-pipe installed. Next step is to plug in this air hose underneath. Let's give that a quick clean. There we go. Okay, hose is attached. I plugged back in an electrical connector here. One thing you're going to be missing on the VSRF version of the J-pipe is this little clip right here. This had a wiring bundle attached to it, and now it's floating. But it was already pretty secure. It has a connector right here. I am not super worried about that, but just something to keep in mind. All right, the next step is to take all of this hardware that's associated with the stock intercooler and transfer it over to the new VRSF intercooler. All right, looks like we have Torx. All right, it is a T30. Oh, still coolant in here, yay. A few more, those are smaller. Okay, these are T25s. Finally, I will take some pliers. We will disconnect this line. I want to be very gentle here. I'm going to reuse this hose. All right, that required a lot of persuasion. Out with the old, in with the new. Coolant on the cold side. Oh, bad news. All right, so this is good to know. VSRF includes their own hardware because the threading is different. Okay, there is a lot of hardware here. We're going to use the plastic bag parts first rather than the manila envelope. These threads are really fine, so we're going to make sure those are clean. Very good. We've got a washer in between the mounting bracket and the screw. Next, we are looking at this piece up here. It's a little bit awkward. I feel like you'd want to put this on a surface, or you can overhang the tank on the other side like this. Yeah, I'll start by connecting this hose first. Yeah, this factory bracket doesn't fit. Oh, it's like a millimeter off. Okay, so the factory bracket is not going to accommodate the RSF intercooler without some modifications. So what we're gonna do is drill just a little bit out here, maybe another 2 millimeters or so, extend this length here. I think we'll be in business. Okay, I think we're pretty close. Oh yeah, we're in business. Perfect, actually. Hoses don't want to go back on, so I'm going to try greasing everything, see if that makes a difference. All right, so I got the intercooler installed. I've got the hoses hooked up to it. A couple things to note. This hose, this guy, it's borderline kinked. Quite the turn there, and I don't like that it could be restricting the flow. Right there, I'm not a fan of that. But this intercooler, it's larger than the other one. So with the stock one, this piece was up a little bit further. Hence the diameter of the bend was larger. That's one thing to note. Could easily be modified. We're talking about coolant hoses. We're missing an airflow sensor. There's a little O-ring right there that's giving a little resistance. I don't think it would be a terrible idea to put just a little bit of grease on it. Don't want to rip it. Okay, wiggling back and forth. Okay, that's in. It's a good snug fit. All right, we're taking a right angle screwdriver. The VSRF intercooler did come with special screws that are a finer thread than the rest of the screws that came with the kit to mount this airflow sensor. Okay, next, we're going to remove the charge pipes and replace those. I've already got bands disconnected here. To get this off, you're going to need an E10 Torx socket and an extension. There it is. We're going to steal this gasket out of here and make sure we put it in the new charge pipe. Okay, next we're going to remove this intake tube. There is a 6mm hex clamp. And that just slides off. Okay. And at this point we want to be really careful not to get anything in the engine. So I'm going to stick a plastic bag, make sure there's nothing in it, in that tube. There we go. Okay, and now we have unmitigated access to that further charge pipe. You're gonna need a U-joint of some kind. Okay, I'm going with this setup, U-joint, E10 Torx socket, 3/8 inch wrench. There it is. And again, this should just slide out. We have everything else disconnected. All right, we will install these in reverse order, and we're gonna save that gasket that's in there and put that in the new charge pipes. I think these look really good. Okay, you can see we've got some gas tape around this hole here. Same procedure on the front charge pipe. The right way to go about this is you have the screw that came with the kit, not the factory screw. Then you're going to use a socket like this. This one is marketed as HW5. I assume it's a 5mm hex extension. It's got kind of a rounded edge, rounded tip here, so you can get at bolts at an angle. And we'll use that in conjunction with another extension on a 3/8 inch wrench. We'll give this a shot. Okay, that is not, oh yeah. Oh man, the rigidity here. This is solid. All right, we've got the rearmost charge pipe in, locked on with 2 clamps, and secured below with the screw that came with the kit. You can see it there, right there. Next, we're gonna take out this plastic bag and reinstall this piece right here. Plastic bag out, making sure nothing fell into the turbo here. Okay, this is a 10mm, and this is a plastic part, an 1/8 of a turn beyond hand tight, and that's plenty. All right, next we are looking at the front charge pipe. Remember, we've used some natural gas tape that you would normally find on your hot water heater to completely seal this hole that would be used for meth or water injection. We've got our seal in here from the old charge pipe. It's gonna be a lot easier to install than the rear one. Okay, that fit right on. Okay, couplers on. Okay, next we are reinstalling the connector to the airbox. Okay, with the intercooler installed, I wasn't able to fit the engine cover back on without modification. I did take a cutting wheel, sliced into the side so that this will fit over the engine. The cut was required in a place that just, it's not going to be super visible, so I felt better about it. If I had to cut into the front of the engine cover, I would have thought differently about this. We are almost at a perfect fit, just a little bit more to go. Okay, we modified the clamshell. It goes on top here. Take a look right there. Chopped off the end of it. I've also gone as far as chopping off part of this flange that's here to make sure that I have enough clearance. This should do it. This is going to be hidden way down in the engine compartment. None of the visible sides are cut. That's really the only reason I did this, is because nobody is going to see that. That is a tight fit. Wow. No clearance. There's the charge pipe. There's the screw for the clamshell on the air intake. Okay, we're aiming for -24 bar or more to reach a vacuum in this low pressure cooling system. So we open up the valves here on this Venturi adapter and on the center piece right here. All right, now that my tiny compressor caught up, we'll start it again. We hit -24 bar, got a vacuum. And we're going to wait 20 seconds to make sure that we still have a vacuum. Make sure that the system isn't leaking any air. This hose goes into the coolant and we check. Are we still at -24? And if so, we will fill it with coolant. All right, we're holding. System's perfect. Now we're going to fill. It's very important that you keep the tube filling the system submerged. You don't want to introduce any air bubbles into the system. Okay, we're submerged in bottle number 2. Okay, after filling the low pressure coolant expansion tank using the OEM Tools filling adapter, we're set. We got to hook up the battery and then complete a bleeding procedure. Here we are. We'll tighten that down and then we'll start the bleeding procedure. All right, the correct procedure is hook up a battery charger, positive and negative, get it set. Put it on the 10 amp charge. You're going to be running a coolant pump. Turn this to about 20 minutes or so. There we go. Turn on the ignition. Do not hit the brake. You're not starting the car. Okay, and we turn on the low beams. There we go. Make sure the heater is all the way up. And then fan on the lowest setting. Then hit the accelerator for 6 seconds. The coolant pump, which is right there, making a little whining noise. We know that it is indeed working and bleeding the system. Sounds like a washing machine.